Guys, welcome to the Pro Gun live stream. Today is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, and we'll give it a few minutes for people to join, and we'll get started. Hey, Mike and Duke, welcome, guys. Hey, Duke, did you wind up getting the Glock 20 yet? Well, hopefully you'll get to take it to the range this weekend. Like to know how you like that. I'm sure you will. Hey, Mike, what's the status with your holster there, buddy? Did you contact them and make the change? Ah, the Ruger 1022, nice. It's about a month or so ago. Publix prohibited civilians from open carrying in their stores in Florida. And then a Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional. And now Publix has quietly backtracked on that. This is a big win, but the thing that annoys me about this is that these are our God-given rights. Everything shouldn't have to take a lawsuit in order to exercise our rights. It's like every time we get a win, it's only because there was a lawsuit. I mean, we shouldn't have to go through this. That's great, Mike. Those people at Tucker and Bird are awesome. They really have exceptional customer service. You'll be really happy with that holster. I'm telling you. Obviously, if you've seen my videos, I've reviewed a lot of holsters, and nobody makes a leather holster like Tucker and Bird. Customer service is outstanding. But anyway, so I just saw that today that Publix has quietly backtracked and now allows civilians to carry. Now, for me personally, places don't allow carrying. I just don't go there. I wasn't aware of it until a few years ago. My wife and I took the motorcycle out to Virginia, I believe. Hey, Chris. And I'm going to let this go, King, for now. Buffalo Wild Wings does not allow people to carry firearms. So I make a list of all the stores that don't allow you to carry, and I just won't go there. Yeah, the liberals are always talking about a revolution. Exactly, Chris. Hey, Richard, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And good noggin. Welcome, brother. Hope you had a safe trip. Yeah, I started making a list there, Duke, of all the places that don't allow you to carry. And Buffalo Wild Wings was one. We found that out when we were out in Virginia. Um, Target is another one. Hey, Dale, welcome, brother. And this is great. We got some new people on again today. And we do this live stream every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. This is a open forum. We just discuss firearms, topics, and accessories. Speaking of, I got a whole bunch of new stuff coming in this week to review. Hey, Mark, welcome. For those that didn't attend Saturday, I picked up a Kimber custom lightweight. You know what, Colin? I'm going to let this go for a bit, and we'll see. Yeah, Target does suck. Any place that doesn't allow you to carry. But anyway, I've mentioned in the past that I wasn't a fan of Kimber. I bought a Kimber 1911 a couple of years ago. Had it for a couple of weeks. I had nothing but trouble with it, and I got rid of it. I probably should have switched out the magazines. But I was at Bud's Gun Store in Sevierville, Tennessee on Saturday, and I got a great deal I just couldn't pass up. I got the Kimber Custom 2 lightweight with the alloy aluminum slide, makes it a lot lighter. Came with 3 steel magazines, a range bag, a Kydex holster, and a mag carrier. And I think it was on sale for $629. So I figured I'd give the Kimber another try. And this time I'll be a little more patient. And if it gives me trouble feeding, I will try the Wilson Combat and Chip McCormick magazines. But I figured I'd try it again. It was a long time, and I do know that the 1911s are a little picky sometimes when it comes to the magazines. So it was just a deal I couldn't pass up. I have so many semi-automatics now that it's getting to be a pain in the ass going to the range. Just bringing up my magazines is just a bitch. Hey, Aaron, welcome, brother. Doing well. Hope you are too. So that's why now I'm purchasing more 1911s and revolvers. I'm just tired of every time I get a new gun. Now I got new magazines, and when I go to the range, it's such a pain in the ass picking out what guns I'm taking and then having to dig through magazines. It's a nice thing about the 1911. I only need a couple magazines, and I can use them in all the guns. So, good for you, Aaron. Thanks for joining. It's been a while. There's been a lot of talk about, in Tennessee, they just passed a bill allowing the use of deadly force to protect personal property. And there's a lot of controversy going on around that. Well, I hope you're right there, Chris. Thank you for that, Aaron. I appreciate it. Um, I hope you're right, Chris. I mean, the finish on this Kimber Custom is beautiful finish. Um, like I said, it came with a range bag, three steel magazines, a Kydex holster, and a mag carrier. So yeah, I just couldn't pass that up. That's a great question, Mark. This depends on um, which model Vortex. Vortex makes very good quality optics. However, when I bought my Smith and Wesson M&P FPC, it came with a Vortex Crossfire, and not a fan of that optic. It's not the greatest. I get it that it was free. It came with the gun, but that's not one of their better models. Good evening, Dave. Thanks for joining. So I'd like to know what all you guys think about the use of deadly force to protect personal property. They just passed that bill in Tennessee about a week ago. Um, and I still have kind of mixed feelings about it. I do like the fact, though, that now they put the onus on the criminal. Um, you know, let them finally realize that there's consequences. I mean, they steal shit in the daytime. Don't forget about in the middle of the night. Um, I just, I guess I like the fact that now, now you don't have to think and wait. Um, I think it's a good thing. And the solution is very simple: don't steal people's shit and stay off people's property. It's that simple. Being they have that, I'm wondering how many of y'all have concealed carry insurance, like USCCA or Law Shield? I agree, Duke. And if my shit is more important to you than your life, then that's on you. The reason I bring up the concealed carry insurance is because a lot of people ask me about that. Um, the truth of the matter is, um, it's really not insurance. What you're really buying is membership to a legal defense network that covers your legal fees. What you really need is a insurance policy that has liability limits, um, so that if you do have a accidental discharge or whatever, or God forbid you shoot someone, it pays for medical bills. Those products that they advertise as concealed carry insurance is borderline fraudulent. It's not insurance. Um, they're not even insurance companies. Like I said, all you're buying is membership to a legal defense network. And you even have to check that. Some of them allow you to use your own attorney, and some of them require you to use theirs. Um, and that's exactly right, Daniel. It's basically like having a lawyer on retainer, but it's not insurance. Insurance would be a liability policy where it covers bodily injury and property damage. I agree with you, Chris. People are too lazy. it's it's a lot easier to steal people's shit. But I like the fact now that, you know, I live in the great state of Tennessee. There's a lot of farmers here. Um, if you're a farmer and somebody's stealing your cattle, that's a very, very expensive investment. And you're supposed to just sit by and watch it happen. Yeah, Mike, that reloading bug's gonna get you, brother, because you're gonna find out that you're gonna wind up reloading for calibers you don't even have, um, just because you're gonna eventually buy a gun in that caliber one day and you want to have ammo. Um, I do need to get more primers. I think I'm down to 5,000. I definitely need to get more. Um, I reloaded a boatload of 357 Magnum ammo so that I could use it with my Henry and my new Viper, but it goes quick. Um, you know, Daniel, I haven't tried the Lee hand reloader, but um, I do use the RCBS Rock Chucker single stage press. It's built like a tank. It's got a lifetime warranty. It's made out of cast iron. Now, the reloading dies, Lee has got very good quality reloading dies. I'll give him that. But as far as the reloading press and the powder measure and the scales go, I find Lee comes up a little short compared to everybody else. In my opinion, nobody beats RCBS. They have a lifetime warranty. They're built like a tank. And thank you for that, James. Appreciate that. I also use the RCBS Uniflow powder measure. That thing is dead nuts accurate. I bought the Lee, they call it the perfect powder measure. It should be called the Lee imperfect powder measure. That thing leaks like a sieve, and um, I'll get right to you, Dave. That Lee powder measure is so inaccurate, it's dangerous. Um, it's plus minus 10 or 15 grains. And I'm very anal when I reload. I check the powder weight on every 10th round. And I found that when I was using the Lee, it was off so much that I was afraid to even use it. And I got the RCBS Uniflow powder measure, and that thing is dead nuts from the first round to the 1,000th round. Yeah, Dave. So I didn't take the Kimber to the range yet, but I did test it out in the backyard, and it did not hang up on me like the one I had a year ago did, or 2 years ago. It surprisingly, being it's lightweight and it's got the aluminum frame, aluminum slide instead of steel. I was expecting more recoil, but it's not that much difference. Um, but I do like the fact that it is lighter. Um, doesn't feel like a boat anchor. So far, I do like it. I will take it to the range uh, next week or so and beat the crap out of it. Um, but for now, that's one good thing about living in Tennessee and being able to shoot in the backyard. If I get a new firearm and I don't have time to get to the range and I'm too impatient, I'll just take it out in the backyard. But anyway, the finish on it is beautiful. Like I said, this thing was on sale for $629. Came with 3 steel magazines, a range bag, a Kydex holster, and a mag carrier. I just could not pass it up at that price. And sometimes when I'm disappointed and I do get a product, I am surprised. I've said for a long time, I was never a fan of the Smith and Wesson triggers on their semi-automatics, and that was on the Shield and the Equalizer. They just felt gritty to me. And then I bought the Smith and Wesson M&P 2.0 10 millimeter, and that's got a very nice trigger. I like that a lot. You know what, Mark? That's a great question, and I've mentioned this for a while now. I will bet you any money, come the end of the summer, come August, you're going to see ammo go up and the consumables, powder, primers, brass, bullets. So if you reload, I would stock up now. You know what, Chris? I wouldn't kick myself in the butt too much about that. Um, I'm not a fan of the Defender. The barrel is too short. Um, if I'm correct, it's only a 3-inch barrel. And 1911s were really meant to be either full size or commander. And from what I've read and what I've experienced, um, those short barrels on the 1911, they don't really perform as well. So I wouldn't really be too upset about that. Actually, you're probably better off that you didn't get it. But to your point there, Mark, if you reload, I would start stocking up on supplies now because I just see it coming. Um, the way to keep going after our Second Amendment rights, they can't take our guns, but they could stop us from reloading ammo. They can control the powder, the primers, brass, bullets. I mean, look at what they did with this bullshit hazmat fee. They didn't have that a couple of years ago. And then during the pandemic, when powder was expensive, you finally find a good deal on powder. And I think I use Winchester 231 for everything. And I think I finally found that powder at like $30 for a 1-pound bottle. And there was a $35 hazmat fee. And nobody, thanks for joining. God bless you too. You know what? I'll get right to you, Daniel. Rock Island makes a fairly decent gun for the money. I mean, it's made in the Philippines, but it's not bad. Um, I'm glad you like the XDS, to be honest with you. Um, I love Springfield. I own a lot of Springfield guns. But in my opinion, I don't think the XD is their best product. Um, it, I had an XD in 45 caliber. I got rid of it. Um, Not a fan. I just think the XD is just not their best product. Daniel, um, actually, Illinois is the state that's starting this serialized ammo, and this is just stupid. And I would bet you, if California jumps on that bandwagon, um, they're probably going to just not sell ammo to those states because what Illinois wants every casing serialized. And then when you buy a box of ammo, you have to register it with the state police. Um, I don't see how they're going to enforce that. So you buy a box of ammo, and each round is serialized. Now you go to the range and you shoot it, and what do you got to scramble on the floor and try to pick up those serialized cases to prove that uh, you know nobody else shot him in a murder? It's just stupid. And Daniel, yep, Springfield Echelon is probably one of the best 9 millimeters on the market in that price. That's a good point, Ozzy. Um, but you know what? If they ban lead, then people will be shooting. They'll just go to copper, and then they'll raise the price of the copper. Um, I shoot high tech coated lead. It doesn't stink or foul up the barrel. Um, and I've been shooting them through my Glock for years. But I feel for you, Ozzy. Man, that lunatic governor you got over there in Illinois with the serialized ammo is just insane. Whatever works for you, Chris. I am glad you do like the XD. Um, I got one a long time ago, and I had it a few weeks, and it just felt very cheap and plasticky to me. And after, and I own a lot of Springfield guns. I have the Echelon, I have the Hellcat Pro. Um, I should, I just don't think the XD is their best product line. Yes, there, Franklin. This goes to everybody. Whatever caliber you shoot, yes, I would stock up. You don't build the ark after it starts raining. That state was Illinois, Chris. Illinois is the state where they want to serialize ammo, and that is just so stupid. It's a good point though, Chris. I'm really surprised that they don't serialize barrels. I mean, think about it. You buy a Glock, say you buy a Glock 22. It's 40 caliber. And the serial number is on the frame, right? So now you take that Glock 22 and you go online from Lone Wolf, and I did this, I did a review on it, and you buy a 357 SIG and a 9 millimeter barrel, and you go out and shoot somebody with a 357 SIG and then change the barrel and shoot with a 9 millimeter, they're going to be looking. They're going to be looking for guns that don't exist. I mean, I would have thought you would have put the serial number on the barrel, not on the grip module, because that is really stupid. So you take the barrel that came out from the factory and you replace it with a different caliber barrel, um, and they're going to be looking for, you know, uh, a 9 millimeter or 357 SIG, which technically you don't own because you bought a 40 caliber. Um, that's got to be almost impossible to solve. Uh, you know what, Daniel? I disagree. Um, I have the well, you know what, Mike? You could buy those barrels anywhere. There's no serial number on them. You can buy a mail order. Um, I'm sorry, Daniel. Uh, I have the Springfield Hellcat Pro, and that is a micro compact, and I love that thing. It conceals very well. It's super thin, but it's a micro compact, but you have all the features of a full size duty weapon. That now it even comes with 17 round magazines, um, and you're not giving up any capacity. Uh, that's my take. I mean, the Hellcat Pro I carry to work. Um, no one knows what you're carrying uh, or that you're even carrying. And because it's so thin, it's like it's less than a half inch thin. You know what, Mike? Yes, they could track your credit card, but to prove that it was your barrel, I don't know. I just think, I mean, this is the great thing about these um, modular guns, like the Ruger RXM, right? I got my Ruger RXM, and I got the compact, and then I bought the full size grip from Magpul. So now it's like a 19X, right? It's got a full size grip with the compact slide. And then I bought a barrel online that's threaded. And uh, how would you know what it came from? It depends on your state there, Howdy. I live in the great state of Tennessee, and nothing is illegal here. But Virginia, you all got that communist governor. She's a lunatic. Every bill she passed is unconstitutional. She has a bill now, get this, for AR 15s that will make it illegal to transport an AR 15 on any government owned property, including streets and sidewalks. So technically, you can't even put it in your car and take it to the gun range. I mean, all right, Aaron. Well, glad to see you here again, old friend. It's been a while. You go enjoy your dinner, and thanks for joining. Hope you catch us again one day. Again, our Second Amendment rights are God given rights. It's not the government's right to take away. And they don't, thank you for that, Aaron. And our rights don't end at the state border. The Second Amendment rights apply to everyone in every state. And every time we get something back, we lose something. Now, this DOJ lawsuit against the state of Colorado is going to be huge because the DOJ in Colorado has made the point that there is no such thing as an assault weapon. That is a term that has become politicized by the liberals. And if the Supreme Court rules on that, AR 15s will then be legal in all 50 states. But yeah, again, it shouldn't have to come down to lawsuits, right? I mean, when specific states are having a ban on high capacity magazines, which, by the way, that's another argument of the DOJ. On the AR 15, 30 round magazine is not a high capacity magazine. That's a term invented by the liberals to fit their agenda. A 30 round magazine is a standard issue magazine on an AR 15. But again, we shouldn't have to have lawsuits every other day to justify the Second Amendment. What I don't understand is why is it only the Second Amendment that they go after? It's because Second Amendment protects all the others. And why is it that the Second Amendment is the only right you need a permit or a license for? I mean, shall not be infringed. It says it all, right? But no, you have these jackasses. This is the problem. And if you voted for them, shame on you. You don't vote for people. I mean, if you're a Democrat and a gun owner, that's like an oxymoron. You're a freaking moron. You're voting for people to take your guns away. And it's that simple. And if you don't vote, that's shame on you too. When they take our Second Amendment rights away and you didn't vote, you forfeit your right to bitch and moan. I constantly urge you guys to reach out to your representatives. I know my representatives are sick and tired of me. I write to them every month when I read a gun bill, because every month I check the gun bills that are going through in my state. I guarantee you, most of you guys have no idea what gun bills they're trying to pass. I know you are, Ozzy, because you live in Illinois. But the fact of the matter is, I check the gun laws in the state of Tennessee, and I write my representatives every month, and I ask them to either vote for or against it. And uh, if you don't fight for your rights, nobody else is going to do it. Um, and I don't get me wrong, guys. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I am opinionated, and I don't do it to pick on the liberals. Well, yeah, I do. But seriously, um, I mean, there are liberals that are gun owners, but I mean, if you're a liberal gun owner, it just kind of um, self-defeating that you're voting for people to take your gun rights away. And who votes these assholes into office? They vote in these lawmakers that know nothing about guns, and they make up gun laws. See, that's the scary thing about it, is you have people that know nothing about guns making up gun laws, making up terms to scare people, like the term assault weapon or assault rifle, when everybody knows that AR stands for Armalite rifle, but yet the liberals made up the term assault rifle to scare people. Um, if you don't belong to a gun organization, um, I highly recommend that. And good evening, Sarita. Um, I belong to the NRA, Gun Owners of America, and the Firearms Coalition. However, I'm not really a fan of the NRA, and I'm not afraid to say it. Um, Wayne LaPierre should have been put in prison for all the money he embezzled over the years. All the NRA is a cash cow. They take your money. Um, Gun Owners of America does a lot more for us. Um, and the NRA has kind of handcuffed me. As a pistol instructor, I need to be an NRA member to maintain my certification. So I'm only an NRA member because I have to. But I would highly recommend you look into Gun Owners of America. They were instrumental on the Bruin case, and they actually fight for us. Gun Owners of America had a conference in Knoxville last year that I was fortunate enough to attend. And they're not as big as the NRA, but they're no nonsense and they go right to work. And believe me, if you think that you're only one person and your voice doesn't matter, you're wrong. It does matter. Write your representatives. I write my senators, my congressmen, all the time because they want to know how their voters feel, right? You know what, Duke? I have to get the info on their website for the Firearms Coalition. They do this. Basically, they do the same thing as the Gun Owners of America do. They find causes or lawsuits, and they fight for them. I have the M&P Sport 15. AR, it's one of my favorites. But that's another stupid thing that the liberals made up. You know, you take a firearm that's got a walnut stock and you paint it black, and now it's an assault weapon. Because what they deem is anything that looks menacing is an assault weapon. And unfortunately, right now, the big thing is tactical, right? Everything is freaking tactical. They got tactical backpacks, tactical lunch boxes. Everything is tactical. And the problem with that is, they deem that stuff menacing. Not that it's right, but they call everything assault weapons. But I'm telling you guys, you need to write your representatives. Don't think that you're only one person, your word doesn't mean anything. They want to know what their constituents feel. Fortunately, we live in the great state of Tennessee. Tennessee, by the way, is the only state in the country that now requires firearm safety in classes kindergarten through 12th grade. You know what, Daniel? That's another issue. Suppressors should be covered on the Hearing Protection Act. There's no reason a suppressor should be illegal. And that's a great choice, Ozzy. I have the M&P Sport 2. I like it. Matter of fact, I liked it so much, I went out and I bought the little brother, and I bought the M&P 1522. It looks exactly like it, and it's fun to shoot, and it's cheap. Before I moved to Tennessee, I bought a bunch of 5.56 ammo when it was really cheap. Yeah, how do you like that, Howdy? You see, the gun ban is just stupid. It's because these politicians lost the war with criminals. So they want to ban your firearms, but yet allow the illegals into the country that are killing people, raping people, selling drugs that kill people, but yet they're worried about you having a firearm. And see, this is the problem, is that, every time there's a shooting, the liberals do is they use that to promote their political agenda. They don't give a rat's ass that there was a school shooting or shooting in the mall. They just use it to promote their agenda. And every time there's a shooting, first thing they do is say, whoa, we need gun control, right? But yet when they shoot at our president, you don't hear a word about gun control when they're shooting at President Trump. So that's the thing about the liberals. They hate guns unless they're the ones pulling the trigger. How about stop shooting at our president? Yep, Tennessee as well. They just passed a gun law in Tennessee now that prohibits landlords from not allowing tenants to own and possess firearms and ammo. And that's huge. Your Second Amendment rights shouldn't end whenever you have to move. If for some reason you may have to leave your house or move from one apartment to the next, and you get a landlord that's a liberal and they don't want firearms in the house, well, this bill they passed in Tennessee now makes that illegal. And that's huge because it does not apply to government-owned property, but it applies to housing, whether you're renting a building or an office, as long as it's not a government-owned building that is being leased. So That is huge. You know what, Mark? I agree with you. Um, and thank you for that, nobody. I really appreciate that, brother. And we have a bunch of new people here today. And if you haven't done so, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We do this stream every Wednesday evening at 8 Eastern and every Saturday at 12 noon. So, yes, Mark, that's a great point. However, I mentioned last week, I'm a data guy by trade. And I love analyzing data. And we know the government lies. And the FBI misinterprets data because it has also been proven that civilians stop more active shooters than the police do. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. The first one is an armed citizen is already on the scene. And by the time the police get there, the damage is already done. Number one. The armed citizen also has an advantage because they're not in uniform. When the police show up, they're targets because now they have uniforms on. You're in a movie theater, for instance. Everybody in the movie theater could be carrying a gun. The bad guy doesn't know who's carrying. So we have that. Then the other thing is, let's talk about shooting accuracy, okay? We shoot better than the cops do. Matter of fact, according to the data, the police only hit their target about 30% of the time. And that's why when you see things on the news where they shoot at a suspect and they shot him 21 times and they hit him 3 times, it's because they suck. I agree with Yazzie. And not only that, the police sometimes, like in Uvalde, they choose to not go in and storm the building. So the data also suggests that armed citizens reduce the amount of murders and injuries when compared to police. That's facts are in the data. It's from the National Crime Institute. Well, you know what, Howdy? That's the other thing. If we're deemed competent and qualified, there shouldn't be any restrictions to the guns we own. I mean, we already know that the police can't shoot, right? And they hit their targets 30% of the time. Yes, they have firearms that we're not allowed to have. It's just one of those things. But I would rather sit in a room with a whole bunch of gun owners. And this, this is the argument. I mean, we're all supposed to be a community, right? Like a family. But for some reason, there's such a varying opinion on open versus concealed carry. And I don't know why. People that conceal carry, for some reason, have a hard-on against people that open carry. And they all jump on the bandwagon. They spew the same crap. Oh, you're going to be a target. You have a target on your back. There's no data that suggests that people were shot because they were carrying a gun. There's also no data that suggests that people had their guns taken away. It's all about situational awareness, right? I mean, you can't just walk around carrying a firearm with your head up your ass. Um, when I carry my firearm, I'm constantly looking everywhere to identify a threat, or better than that, um, to identify where, if I had to take a shot, where would be safe and where wouldn't. Um, I don't see what the problem is. If you're allowed to carry in your state and you don't, you should be. Everybody should be carrying. Um, and I don't care whether you open carry or conceal carry. I just want you to carry. And open carrying has got nothing to do with being a badass. I'm fat. I don't want to fight with my belly and my clothes to get to my gun. So um, I open carry. Now, it also depends. You have to use common sense. Now, if I was in a shithole like Memphis, I would not open carry. Um, Even when I'm in Knoxville or if I'm in areas I'm not familiar with, I will conceal carry. I conceal carry at work. But when I'm in an area I'm comfortable with, I don't have any qualms about open carrying. I don't care. But, the first thing I do when I go into stores, especially stores I go into frequently, like the um, Weigel's gas station, I make it a point to know where, if I had to take a shot, I can because it's safe, and where I wouldn't do it. And unfortunately, you only have a second to make that decision. And sometimes, you may be better off just being a good witness. That's a great question, Daniel. And this is the problem with overseas. Um, and it applies to a lot of things. Like, take the Philippines, for instance, right? There is no copyright laws in the Philippines. Um, and as an IT guy, I worked with somebody that was from the Philippines. And every time he went to the Philippines, he would ask what software we wanted. And he'd come back and give it to us. And they would sell software in the Philippines, and the manuals were Xerox copied. Um, and it was legal. They sell it like that there because there's no copyright law. Um, and let me tell you something about these switches. This is nothing new. These switches have been around for 30 years. 30 years ago, there used to be a magazine that came out called Shotgun News, and they had auto sears that you could drop into the 1911 Colts and make them auto. So this is nothing new. It's been around forever. And these dumbass politicians, like the uh, governor of New York, the governor of Virginia, these switches are already illegal on a federal level. Why are we spending so much time and money and resources trying to make them illegal on the state level? They're already illegal. I mean, this lady, this governor in New York is worried about, you know, 3D printed guns. What if she finds out about CNC machines? But that's how they do it, Daniel. They they pay people off in customs. Um, it's not only in China. I mean, if you're a criminal and you have the time and the resources, you could build anything, right? Now, when Glock bent over and stopped carrying their guns and switched over to the V series, I will guarantee you the day those guns hit the shelf, somebody somewhere created a switch for it. And the Glock Gen 6, I'm betting the same thing, that somebody somewhere came out with a switch for it. Now, you have states like California that banned Glocks because of the switches. Connecticut now, which is worse than New Jersey, if that's possible. Connecticut just banned all Glock type guns because they accommodate switches. They didn't just start with Glock. They went after Ruger when Ruger came out with the RXM. And they said to Ruger, if you don't stop manufacturing the RXM, we're going to sue you. And Ruger said, you know what? We produce firearms for law-abiding citizens, and we're going to continue to do so. So kudos to them. Well, see, this is the problem, Daniel, is that the laws are really only made for us, right? The bad guys clearly don't follow the laws. And this bullshit of having high-capacity magazines, if you go out and you buy a Glock 20, it comes standard with a 15-round magazine, right? Or you buy a Glock 19, it comes standard with a 15-round magazine. Those are standard issue magazines. There's no such thing as high capacity. The liberals made up that term, high capacity, and its high capacity is different in every state. I think New York now is down to 7 rounds. They just arbitrarily pick a number and go with it. And they can't stop the criminals because they're always going to have their guns. They're always going to have their high-capacity magazines. And they don't care because there's no consequences to them. Look at all the illegals. The illegals here that cross into the border carrying firearms. At best, they get deported. And then they come back. Now you have these sanctuary cities, like in California. You can't even arrest them. So they can't control the criminals. So what do? They control the law-abiding citizen because they already know they lost that war on the bad guys. Yeah, that too. And the problem is the whole government, and this is both sides, is just so damn corrupt. You can't trust anybody anymore. I mean, even with Republicans, there are so many rhinos out there that are not really Republicans. And there's no more middle of the road. It's either one extreme or the other. But that's okay. I'll take our extreme. At least we're not trying to take our guns away. The whole intention is to have an unarmed society so that people can't fight back. What they fail to realize is that there's more guns in this country than there are people. Do they really think that they're going to be able to take us over? I agree, Duke. Yes, both sides became corrupt. However, I do have to say, every day I have more and more respect for John Fetterman for standing up to those idiots. I never knew much about him until recently. I always thought he was just a crazy lunatic. But the ironic thing is that the Democrat with brain damage has got the most sense out of all of them. And I'd love to see him flip, but I'd like to really see him become a Republican because he's a guy you could work with. I don't like the fact that, if he goes independent, the problem is all he's going to do as an independent is just take votes away from one party or another. Yes, nobody. At least the red is not trying to take our guns. That's correct. Yeah, I tell you, Duke, I give Fetterman a lot of credit. This man is being ostracized by his party, and he doesn't care. He stands up for them. Um, you know, he's the only Democrat that shook President Trump's hand at the speech. He approved all of the cabinet picks. I mean, he actually seems to be a decent guy, and he obviously cares about and loves his country, unlike most of the liberals out there who they hate this country. I don't even know why they're here. I mean, look at Chuck Schumer. He's a freaking disgrace. Hakeem Jeffries. They hate this country. Omar. There's another one. Besides the fraud, I mean, I still don't see why Tampon Tim isn't in jail yet. But yet you got all this fraud and bullshit going on in Minnesota, and yet Minnesota is trying to push through more anti-gun bills. And I don't know why we can't just settle this once and for all and have the Supreme Court rule hands off the Second Amendment. It's a God given right. It's not the government's right to take away. There's no exceptions. It's the Bill of Rights. It's not the Bill of Needs. So it's got nothing to do with what we need a firearm for. It's our right to have them. And why is it only the Second Amendment that they attack in every state? Now, there's a senator or congressman trying to push national reciprocity. That would be awesome, but we're never going to see that in our lifetime. I guarantee you that. It sounds good on paper, and Donald Trump promised that at the NRA convention in Dallas last year. It's never going to happen because the liberal states are not going to conform. They'll do what they always do. See, this is the problem. The liberal states, they'll just slam through a whole bunch of anti-gun bills, and they know that the courts are going to rule that it's unconstitutional. And they wait for it to get tied up in the courts. And by the time it's in the courts, it's years. And I used to live in the communist state of New Germany. And New Jersey's been arguing magazine bans and AR and assault weapons for 16 years. How long are you going to argue this crap? I don't understand why the Supreme Court can't just rule it on a federal basis. Why is it that you have a driver's license and you could drive in all 50 states, but you have a concealed carry permit in one state and those rights evaporate when you cross the border? It's just not, doesn't make any sense. Yes, that's the scary part, Duke, is that you have idiots voting for idiots. And it really scares me about the intelligence people have in this country. I mean, look, this lunatic they voted for in Virginia, they got exactly what they voted for. They knew what she was going to do. The lunatic they voted for in New Jersey, dear Duke, they got what they voted for too. She screwed that state up more than Phil Murphy. But she can fly a helicopter. All right, guys, we've got about 9 minutes left. So I'm sorry for using up all the time here, but if you have anything you want to discuss or any firearms you want to talk about, type them in and we'll do it. Again, I apologize for hogging up most of the time. I just get on a rant sometimes and you guys just let me go with it. Well, and the other problem is the lifetime appointment of these Supreme Court justices. I mean, I don't know why we didn't just go after that filibuster. Hey, I just realized we're missing our man Jib Jab tonight. All right, guys, this is your stream, so I agree, Mike. I'm telling you, if you're not reloading, you probably should seriously think about it. It's not because it's cheaper. It's so that yeah, he is the you reload so that you don't have an ammo shortage. I did the math and I did a video once. I think you have to reload something like 7,200 rounds to break even, because the upfront cost is high. You know, you got the reloading press, you got the dies for each caliber. You need calipers, you need a scale, you need a powder measure, you need a primer tool. Then you have your consumables. You have the primers, the powder, the bullets, the brass. Yeah, YouTube does not like gun channels. It happens every month. They'll go through a video that I did a year ago and flag it as a violation of community guidelines and give me a strike on the channel. And that's why I've been very careful posting videos lately, because I already have a strike on my channel. Yeah, that's a good question, Daniel. Air guns are awesome. I have a Umarex, and it's a Glock 19, and Glock licensed it to Umarex. And if you put that side by side with a Glock 19, you cannot tell the difference. It's the exact dimensions. The controls are exactly the same. And the air pistol is a great way to dry fire train, because the one thing that's missing when you dry fire train is noise and recoil, right? I use my Glock air pistol and I never shoot BBs through it. I just put a CO2 cartridge in and I attach my Mantis X, and now I get the sound and I get the recoil. Now, granted, it's not the recoil of a 9mm, but between the sound and a slight recoil, it makes training a lot more realistic than having to rack the slide every time and pulling the trigger with no sound. I mean, part of your training is getting used to the sound. And Umarex makes great quality guns. Like I said, I got the Glock 19 and it's full blowback. I'm actually going to probably do another review on it this weekend on using it for a dry fire training tool, because I never thought about that before. And it is licensed by Glock. So there was a lot of supervision there. And that is why it looks identical to a Glock. Matter of fact, if you took that Umarex pistol and you decided to be stupid with it, you'll wind up getting shot, because there is no way a cop is going to be able to tell that that's fake. It's an identical. Everything about it is identical to a real Glock. And I know that besides the Glock, I believe Umarex makes Sig Sauer models, Beretta models. It's a great way to train, and it's fun. You know, training in a quiet room, racking the slide and hearing click, click, click. It makes it a lot more fun and a lot more realistic when you have at least a little bit of recoil and you do have sound. But anyway, everybody should be dry fire training. And if they're not, they're really missing a lot. Nothing wrong with that, Joshua. Piece 365 is probably their best-selling gun. I personally am not a big fan of the 380, but that's just me. It is definitely a capable round, and it is all about shot placement, right? And if you can't shoot, it doesn't matter what caliber you're using. I'm not even a fan of 9mm. I mean, if it was up to me, the only calibers they would have is 10mm and 45. But I do understand the appeal of the 380 and the 9mm. I do own some 9mm because they are cheap to shoot, but I very rarely carry one. Hence Pro Gun 45. So you know what I carry. Anyway, guys, this was great. I love doing this with you guys every week, or twice a week, actually. For new people out here, we do this every Wednesday evening at 8 Eastern and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. If this is something you like, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and come back and join us again. Our viewers and subscribers ask for this, and it's a great way to share information. I learn a lot from you guys as well. Like I always say, everybody doesn't know everything, but we all know something. So anyway, thanks for joining, guys. Have a great evening. Till next time.